Marv Levy, Hall of Fame football coach, turns 100 years old this Sunday. He grew up in Chicago and attended South Shore High School. Marv and his wife still call Chicago home after all of these years, and we caught up with him before the big day.
I did grow up here, have tons of family here. My father was one of 13 children, and I can't go out for a walk without somebody telling me they're my cousin's granddaughter or something like that. But I did like it. I had friends in the Cubs organization, baseball organization, and the Bears. I thought Chicago was a very underrated town, very nice downtown.
Marv's coaching career stretches from college to the Canadian Football League to the United States Football League and of course the NFL, where he was a head coach for 17 seasons. He's most well known for his time with the Buffalo Bills, which spanned 12 years and 4 consecutive appearances in the Super Bowl. And while there are so many memories to choose from, he says being part of the greatest comeback in NFL history is one of his favorites.
The greatest comeback. We trailed at halftime in the playoffs, 28-3. Jim Kelly was injured. Other players were injured. In the locker room at halftime, I walked up to our backup quarterback, Frank Reich, who had led the greatest comeback in college football history at the University of Maryland. And I said, Frank, you're going to lead the greatest comeback in pro football history. Frank nodded his head. Went out. They kicked off to us to begin the second half. Frank faded back through a pass. Touchdown. Not to us, to them. They intercepted it. 35-3. Well, as you know, we came back with Frank there. In the dying seconds of the game, we tied the score. It went into overtime. We got an interception, went down the field, and then kicked the winning field goal in overtime. The greatest comeback in NFL history. I sure do remember that one, and a lot of others too, of course.
While he didn't coach with the Bears, he was a head coach with the Chicago Blitz of the United States Football League. It only lasted 1 season, but it was all worth it as he met his wife during that time.
I was hired by an owner who didn't live in Chicago at all, never saw him. Also, he never paid me any of my salary, but I do remember there was a man who drove our team around and who drove supplies around and everything. And one day he asked me, I was to come visit him at some restaurant in Chicago for join him for breakfast. I did. I was sitting there with a big restaurant. In the door at a distance walked in a very pretty lady. She weaved her way through the whole thing, stopped at our desk, and said, "Hello, can I sit here?" And I said, "Boy, when you got it, you know." Anyway, she was that driver's former wife, but they were on very good terms and everything, and they had decided to have breakfast together. She sat down. A few years later, I married her, and my wife ran.
Marv is watching less football these days while spending more time with his family. But the Hall of Fame coach does have some advice for the rookie head coach of the Bears.
I'll give him the same advice Winston Churchill gave to me. Never, 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 never surrender. He also gave it to the British troops, by the way. So, no, just hire a great staff. It isn't a great coach. It's a great staff that you need in order to succeed.
For Fox 32 Sports, I'm Lou Canellis.